Oh man, so I just came across this website called madgeniusclub.com. Madgeniusclub.com. We're not really mad geniuses, we're just a little miffed. Oh man, it's great. I love it. This is an article called Greenie Yallery. A Greenie Yallery, Grosvenor Gallery, foot in the grave, young man, is the beginning of this article. I'm guessing maybe half the readers here will recognize the quote, and if put to the average modern Hugo voters, is that Victor Hugo? That would drop to 0.1%, which is faintly amusing as the satire subject remains evergreen and so much about them. Of course, if you asked the same question back in 1885, I guess even people who couldn't read knew it, the quote, and knew what Grosvenor Gallery implied. It implied the pile of rubbish, otherwise known as art, for the cleaner to accidentally destroyed would have once been the epitome of the display there. Oh, man. It is a quote, it is a venue for art which was outside the mainstream of classical. These days, that is mainstream art. So basically, the crap that they put out there for modern art, that the cleaner would say, just chuck that because it looks literally like a piece of poop. It is a quote from a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta, Patience, and they were enormously popular. I still feel Gilbert was a genius, but then I like clever lyrics. Oh, man. The point that I'm trying to make, however, is that while Gilbert's skewering of the fads that made the aesthetic movement and many of the references are not familiar ones to today's audiences, the technique he used is core to a lot of science fiction and fantasy humor. It was a new thing back then. It was termed the topsy-turvy, where within the bounds of a setting of the story, an element of the ridiculous or absurd was introduced. The story then plays out with the characters taking the situation created by this absurdity to a logical conclusion. The characters in themselves play as if it was just an ordinary reality, as if the absurdity of it all never occurred to them. The surreal bits gently blend into the real, and the audience, while amused, accepts the implausible but logical for the same of the story, often in turn into a fairly pointed satire, which shown to be ridiculous by the absurd bits, none the skewered its targets, often by pointing out how ridiculous they actually were. Eric Frank Russell was also a master of this. I've never heard of him. It's worth looking at Gilbert's writing skills. His settings were, even if moderately ridiculous, always remarkably well constructed and logical to the point that the audience was prepared to suspend disbelief. They were played with absolute earnestness as the characters were unaware of the ridiculous. He always added to the framework of normalcy the absurd element. The characters, while often caricatures, still had elements of reality around them, and even the ridiculous elements had some degree of mere exaggerated plausibility. And this, in a way, was why his satire was so devastatingly pointed and funny. Take the very model of a modern major general from Pirates of Penzance. And I remember when the first college course I ever took, we had to go see or read about it. I think saw play Pirates of Penzance, and I basically wanted to jump off a bridge. But now, I never read it, I think I read it enough to pass a stupid course. But the modern major general, the lyrical genius of this guy, Gilbert, is insane here. I'm not going to read this song. I'll read you a different one. But my goodness, it's nuts. The modern major general from Pirates of Penzance. All right, but I do want to read you this one from Gilbert. I think it's W.S. Gilbert. This Gilbert and Sullivan. I think Gilbert was the lyricist and Sullivan was the music guy, I think. This is the First Lord's Song, which is nuts. And I just, I tell you, this guy should have been a rapper. The rappers of the late 80s and early 90s, I don't follow rap anymore, but those guys are geniuses. No other way around it. Ice-T, I'm not sure who actually wrote Ice-T's song. I don't know if, like, in country music, they don't actually write the lyrics. Presume the rappers actually do, but, these guys, Eric B. Rakim, Ice-T, Boogie Down Productions with KRS-One, just EPMD, Eric and Parrish, is that what it's called? Eric and Parrish Making Dollars was EPMD. Just musicians and lyrical geniuses. It's nuts. And the last I listened to any rap, it's like, that is just horrible compared to what it used to be. It's sad because it was insanely good how they could rhyme and put a sentence together, keep the beat and make it rhyme without just saying, I went to go to the store to eat an apple core. It wasn't like that. It actually had substance to it. It was just incredible. I've still, into this day, awe at some of the lyrics that these guys had written. All right, Public Enemy. I don't know if Chuck D, did he write the lyrics? I don't know. But anyway, when I was a lad, so this is from Gilbert and Sullivan's The First Lord Song. Listen to this lyrics. When I was a lad, I served a term, an office boy to an attorney's firm. I cleaned the windows and I swept the floor, and I polished up the handle of the big front door. I polished up that handle so carefully that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy. An office boy, I made such a mark that they gave me the post of junior clerk. I served with writs with a smile so bland. I served the writs with a smile so bland, and I copied all the letters in a big round hand. I copied all the letters in a hand so free that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy. And serving writs, I made such a name that an articled clerk I soon became. I wore clean collars and a brand new suit for the past examination at the Institute. And that past examination I did so well for me that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy. Of legal knowledge I acquired such a grip that they took me into the partnership. And that junior partnership, I ween, was the only ship I'd ever seen. But that kind of ship so suited me that now I'm the ruler of the Queen's Navy. I grew so rich that I was sent by pocket borough into Parliament. I always voted at my party's call, and I never thought of thinking for myself at all. I thought so little they rewarded me by making me the ruler of the Queen's Navy. Now, landsmen all, wherever you may be, if you want to rise to the top of the tree, if your soul isn't fettered to an office stool, be careful to be guided by this golden rule. Stick close to your desks and never go to sea, and you will be rulers of the Queen's Navy. Oh, man, what a great, great song. Or a great lyric. I don't even know. Apparently, this made such a fuss that the whoever was the ruler of the Queen's Navy at that point protested, which again, the Streisand effect, which called attention to his lack of service, I guess. Anyway, now landsmen all, wherever you may be, if you want to rise to the top of the tree, if your soul isn't fettered to an office stool, be careful to be guided by this golden rule. Stick close to your desks and never go to sea, and then you'll be ruler of the Queen's Navy. Oh, man. I thought so little they rewarded me by making me the ruler of the Queen's Navy. And that junior partnership I ween was the only ship that I ever seen. Jeez. Such a great, anyway, Mad Genius, what was it again? MadGeniusClub.com. That's fantastic, fantastic. All right, we'll see you.